Welcome back, everybody, to the Michigan Trails Report. I'm your host, Tom Funk, author of 50 Hikes in Michigan's Upper Peninsula and 50 Hikes on the North Country Trail. This week's installment, let's tell you about the Rivermouth Trail at Tahquamenon Falls State Park. So this episode, I will tell you all about this hike, which is hike number 25 in the 50 Hikes in Michigan's Upper Peninsula book. Alright, so without any further ado, let's get started here. As I mentioned, Rivermouth Trail is in Tahquamenon Falls State Park. It is 14.7 miles officially. It's going to take you 6 to 8 hours to hike this thing. It's mostly easy with some moderate climbs and descents. And it is a pretty remote trail. It does have sweeping views, and it's probably one of your best opportunities to see moose, although very few people do see them. This is an area they do hang out. For you map geeks, you're going to need USGS 7.5 Timber Lost and Emerson, and you can also grab a Tahquamenon Falls State Park map. And it is also a North Country Trail map as well, which you can find on their data planner and mapping planner. Amenities, you'll be starting at Lower Falls, which has a campground and a concession area, and Rivermouth Unit has a modern campground as well. Footwear, hiking boots, and this is bear territory, and one of the times I hiked the trail, I did encounter bear, so I tell folks I don't recommend letting Fido run loose on this one. Did you know that over 500,000 guests visit Tahquamenon Falls State Park each year? The most popular trail is the Falls Trail, which is from Upper to Lower Falls, which attracts tens of thousands of people every year. The Rivermouth Trail, however, attracts only a fraction of the park's visitors. This is a wild walk that should take the better part of a day to complete. It's mostly flat. It does traverse through maturing forests, old clear cuts, swamp, and even crosses a large marsh using a bridge. The hike is mostly high and dry with a few opportunities to view some wild lakes, and it does meet the river at the end of the hike. This may be the second location in Michigan where you'll have a fair opportunity to see moose. They inhabit the low marshes toward the end of your hike before you come to the poor dirt road of the Tahquamenon Trail. You'll see many habitat types, everything from thick swamp, muskeg, expansive marshes, old fields, and you'll see basically old haunted pine forests that used to stand here. And there's your various lakes, streams, and second growth forest as well. Although the sign at the trailhead does say 11.7 miles to Rivermouth Camp, due to reroutes on the North Country Trail, your hike is going to be upwards of 15 miles, so keep that in mind. To access the eastern trailhead, it is at Rivermouth Unit Campground. From Paradise, take M123 south 3 miles to the park entrance and park behind the contact station. Let them know you're hiking the trail. The western trailhead is at Lower Falls, which is 10 miles west of Paradise on M123. Drive to the end of the park entrance road, which ends at the parking lot, and walk towards the amphitheater. So you'll see everybody going towards the day use area and the falls. You're going to go the other way. Look for an amphitheater, and then you'll find the Blue Blazes, the North Country Trail. And there will be a sign indicating the Rivermouth Trail at the top of a staircase. So you'll be using a segment of the North Country Trail that receives only a fair amount of foot traffic every year, although it crosses a very busy state park. Start your hike by entering the campground while keeping to the right counterclockwise on the campground loop until you reach the trailhead, marked by a large sign and a North Country Trail logo. Don't be fooled by the sign. Like I said, recent rerouting has extended the length of this trail. The hike says it's 7.1 miles to the Taco Trail when it's really 8.9, and it says 11.7 miles to Rivermouth Campground, which is really nearly 15 miles. Now that we've added some extra mileage to your hike, take a deep breath and take the stairs downward to the Tahquamenon River and immediately use a small footbridge to cross a little feeder stream. Take a second deep breath, maybe two, as you'll scramble up a steep hill to get to the top. Take a breather. This will be your only major steep climb of the day. Think of this summit as weeding out the less than brave day users to the park. Enjoy the habitat up here, which is mostly mixed red pine, white pine, and jack pine. The ground cover, well, it consists of bracken ferns and blueberries, making a late summer hike a tasty one. Trek eastward and enjoy the small ascents and descents rolling over the landscape, and the path is well used and marked adequately with blue blazes as it cuts through the moss, leaving a sandy underfooting. This will be your prevalent tread surface throughout your hike. At 9/10 of a mile, skirt by water take lakes, affording you a downward view of several small bodies of water. Be careful accessing water here, as is rather marshy around the shore. The trail follows the ridge along the lakes, peels away to the southwest, and in another 0.2 miles, it will zigzag to the top of the highest point in the area. And this is where a watchtower once stood. All that remains are the cement footings and the remains of the steel legs formerly set into said concrete. On most days, the view is obscured by the weather influenced by Lake Superior, which is less than 10 miles away. Descend this knob and you'll walk a ridge that falls off to both sides. The trail will continue to lose elevation until it sinks into a valley flanked on both sides by forested hills that parallel the trail, which has become very straight and wide until you come to Farkas Road 0.2 of a mile later. Although there is a trail sign at this intersection, there is no indication of the name of the road. If you turn north on said Farkas Road, it will be a 1 mile hike to M123. And Farkas Road is a 2-track negotiable by most vehicles. Cross the 2-track into the woods and continue southeast, then south, then southwest. The habitat is young, mostly jack pine savanna. Some maps show you crossing a 2-track within half a mile crossing Farkas Road. If this does exist, I have missed it both times I've hiked the trail, and I've actually hiked it 3 times now, so I've missed it every time myself. The topography is rather flat as you curve through the landscape. Then you'll start hiking on a ridge and see a varied landscape on both sides. At the top of what appears to be another local high spot, the forest thickens with white spruces, and you'll take a steep drop down and head west towards the Tahquamenon River. The trail turns into a 2-track after about half a mile of hiking through white spruce and red maple forest. This 2-track is scantily marked with blue blazes in this area, but the trail is wide and easy to follow. Until your next road intersection at Timberlost Road, this will be the case. Just stay on the 2-track until you reach the intersection with Old Stove Road, which is the name of the 2-track that you are on, and Timberlost Road. Unless someone told you, you would not know that you're only about 200 yards from the Tahquamenon River. Obscuring your view is a thick forest of red maple, hemlock, and white spruce. However, a few feeder creeks give away that the mighty Dark Waters is nearby. Stand still in the forest and feel its presence. The 2-track will turn from a southward to an eastward direction and climb up and out of a river basin into an open savanna. On your right is a large ridge. About 1/10 of a mile after leaving the forest and entering the savanna, the trail intersects with Timberlost Road. There used to be a sign there for Old Stove Road, and it was stuck into the ground at the base of what was an old stove that used to sit there. It's been a few years since I've hiked it, and I've heard that the stove and the sign's been replaced with the stove is long gone. Leave the 2-track and walk northeast diagonally up the side of the ridge, and you'll be between some boggy seepage wetlands and swamps on your right and Camp 10 lakes on your left. You'll notice that the trail blazes have been placed more frequently here. This ridge continues to climb in elevation, becoming the predominant geological feature on the landscape. Eventually, you are above the treetops to the right, with thick forest on your left, obscuring any view that may be left of Camp 10 lakes. The southern face of this sand ridge is unforested. Again, on most days, the view is obscured by the weather, but if it isn't, you'll have a wide, expansive vista of the forest to the south. Approach a set of switchbacks, bringing you down about 100 feet in elevation to follow yet another sand ridge. Climb another knob, which again appears to be the high point in the immediate vicinity. The trail lumbers downhill to a ravine where there is a stream crossing on a small wooden bridge. Negotiate the stream and head north back into the woods for about 0.2 of a mile, then drop in elevation to what appears to be a water-inundated two-track. Never fear, although this localized flooding is caused by nearby beaver activity, the trail has been locally rerouted when it does get flooded. The forest is thick, but suddenly ends at the edge of a massive beaver dam, a major engineering feat when you set your eyes on it. Thankfully, the local trail volunteers have figured out how to negotiate around this impoundment and beaver dam. Take a moment to survey the scenery. This expansive wetland produced by local beavers may be your best opportunity to see a moose. Re-enter the forest and about 2/10 of a mile later, cross Lynch Creek on another footbridge. A much smaller wetland, this may be another place to spot the largest member of the deer family. At over 1,000 pounds, moose are a force to be reckoned with. If you keep a keen eye out, you may find their 5-inch long hoof prints in the soft ground. A better sign are their cow patty-like droppings. Since they eat aquatic vegetation, their stools tend up to be sloppy, so watch your step. The trail becomes flat, straight, and wide, and marked with the official painted blue rectangles of the North Country Trail. The footpath ends half a mile from Lynch Creek at a trailhead on Taco Trail. There is parking for about 3 cars there. So at this point, the trail used to follow the Taco Trail 5.5 miles to M123. Today, the local trail chapter has put most of this trail into the forest and brings you out to M123, where you'll turn south on M123 and walk to the Tahquamenon Falls Rivermouth unit. Now, back in the day, when I hiked it, the very first time was on my Cross the UP hike in the Upper Peninsula. And it was a cold, cloudy, and foggy, misty day. And that's a day I stumbled upon basically a bear that was in the area, and it stunk to high heaven, stunk like bear. And I kind of scooted through that area pretty quickly. The second time I hiked it was during firearm deer season, and the snow was flying, and I stuck to the trail. I did see a couple other hunters while I was hiking this trail way back in the boonies. And the third time I hiked it was basically to win a bet against the local the local park manager, because he insisted that the signs are correct, and I insisted they were not. And I GPSed it myself, and then I showed him the North Country Trail data, only to show that they were short on their estimation. So keep that in mind with this trail. It is not as long as the park says. Utilize the North Country Trail resources, because they are by far the best source of information you have on the North Country Trail. All right, thanks a lot, you guys. There is yet another hike in the books. Thanks for listening. Check out all the other hikes. I'm slowly putting them all into podcast format. And I have also started putting the 50 hikes on the North Country Trail into podcast format as well. So keep your eyes open for more installments. And of course, click on subscribe and you'll be notified as soon as I put one to podcast. All right, for the Michigan Trails Report, it's Tom Funk. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you again.